Sometimes a woman says nothing not because she agrees, but because she is planning. That's what the elders say when they tell this story. A story not about war or spirits, but about a girl so soft she bent the world, and a man so proud he never saw it coming. In the bustling city of Kinta, where traders shouted from sunrise to moonfall and music throbbed through every dusty street, lived a man named Obade. Obade was not just any man. He was tall, charming, and dressed like wealth itself. His skin was smooth, his smile was deadly, and his pockets were deep, so deep that even politicians bowed when he entered the room. He owned houses, cars, and businesses. His father had left him a kingdom, and Obade ruled it with swagger. But what he loved most was women. He changed women like sandals. Every night, a different beauty would walk into his home. He called them visitors. He gave them gifts and kisses, but never his name. In Kinta, people whispered behind his back, "That man? He doesn't love. He only collects." His nickname was Obade the Lion, not for bravery, but because he hunted hearts and left them bleeding. Far away from the noise of Kinta, past the river Obu, in the quiet village of Igodi, lived a girl named Nala. Nala was quiet, so quiet that even birds paused to listen when she spoke. She wasn't rich, she didn't wear makeup, but her beauty ran deep like water under stone. She lived with her widowed mother in a mud brick house, rising before dawn to sweep, cook, fetch water, and sew clothes. She was known for her sweet soups, her silent laughter, and her gentle eyes. Her mother always told her, "A woman's strength is not in shouting, it's in knowing when to be still." Nala believed in love, but she feared men. She had seen too many girls from Igodi sent back home, crying, with swollen faces and empty stomachs. She promised herself that if she ever married, it would be someone who chose her heart, not just her body. On the day Obade turned 38, he sat alone on his rooftop, watching the city lights blink like restless spirits. He felt empty. Money couldn't fill his chest. Kisses couldn't quiet the silence in his room. That night, he told his mother, "I want a wife. A real one, not a city woman with sharp words. I want someone untouched by this madness. Someone who will listen, cook, and never question me." His mother, a proud woman from Igodi, smiled slowly. "Then you must go back to the land that raised me. I know the kind of girl you seek." 2 weeks later, word reached Igodi. The wealthy son of Kinta was looking for a bride. A traditional one, a respectful one, a girl with clean hands and a quieter mouth. The elders gathered, girls were summoned. But it was Nala who caught the old mother's eye. She was shy. She bowed low. She didn't speak unless spoken to. And when she smiled, even the wind paused. "Her," the old woman said. "That's the wife for my son," Nala's mother agreed. She wept, but she agreed. Nala arrived in Kinta with only one bag and a prayer. She had never seen buildings so tall, cars so fast, or lights that didn't sleep. Her wrapper was plain. Her heart beat loud. But she didn't show it. Obade watched her walk into his parlor, head bowed, fingers laced. She didn't meet his eyes. She didn't speak. And just like that, he was pleased. "This one," he said to himself, "won't give me trouble." In less than 2 weeks, a wedding was arranged. Obade spared no coin. Drummers played until their hands bled. Chickens were roasted. The city sang. Everyone said, "At last the lion has found his lamb." That night, when Obade took her hand, he discovered what he wanted to know most. She had never been touched by another man. He was proud, very proud. Nala became a wife like none Kinta had ever seen. She woke before Obade, swept the compound, washed his clothes by hand, and cooked banga soup so fragrant that the neighbors often lingered near their gate. She never argued, never questioned. She served his meals on her knees and laughed only when he did. Obade felt like a king. For once, his house was quiet, clean, and full of delicious smells. He gave her a heavy allowance, new clothes, gold bangles, and told his friends, "This is how a wife should be, not loud, not proud, just soft." His friends teased him. "So the lion has been tamed?" He laughed. "I'm not tamed. I'm satisfied." After the wedding bells had faded and the drums of celebration had long gone silent, Nala and Obade began their new life together in the sprawling mansion. At the edge of Kinta, the first few weeks were filled with laughter, soft evenings, and the smell of banga soup floating through their home. And then blessing. Nala's stomach began to swell. She was with child. Obade was overjoyed. He bought her scented oils, gold chains, and called the doctor weekly. He even kissed her growing belly and whispered, "You will bring me greatness." 9 moons passed. The sun rose and fell, and the day finally came. The birth was long and painful, but at the end of it, 2 tiny cries filled the room. Twin daughters. They had Nala's soft lips and Obade's proud forehead. Obade's eyes lit up. He clapped and laughed. "My girls! My queens!" Their home, once large and cold, was now filled with diapers, baby powder, lullabies, and tiny socks. Visitors came from all corners of Kinta to bless the family. People whispered, "Maybe the lion has changed," and for a while he had. The first year passed in warmth. Obade stayed home more. He even canceled a few of his late-night hangouts. Nala, though always quiet, started to smile more. She took care of the girls, the house, and her husband with deep devotion. She believed just maybe love had softened him. But lions do not change. They only rest. By the time the girls turned 3, Obade's old scent began to return one. Not of musk or perfume, but of deceit. He came home later. He picked calls in whispers. He laughed at messages he wouldn't let her see. The lipstick stains reappeared. One evening, Nala saw long brown hair on his white shirt. Her own hair was short and black. She didn't ask him about it. She wept quietly in the bathroom, her mouth covered with a towel. She prayed, she fasted. She even lit 3 candles and begged the gods of her mother's land. But prayers did not pull Obade back. One night, the pain was too heavy. Nala knelt in front of him, tears soaking the floor. "My husband," she said, voice trembling, "why are you doing this? I no longer beautiful to you? Do I no longer satisfy you? Why are there other women?" Obade looked at her as though she were a stranger. And then he lied. "I don't know what you're talking about." She stared at him in disbelief. That night, she cried herself to sleep beside him. Obade stopped hiding. He picked calls from women while lying beside Nala. He laughed with them in the hallway. He left at night and returned at dawn, the scent of strangers still on his clothes. Nala's heart ached like a raw wound. But worse than the pain was the confusion. What had she done wrong? She prayed harder. She starved herself for days in fasting. She didn't even tell her mother. Then came the explosion. It was the 4th night in a row that he came home smelling of cheap perfume. As he threw his shoes in the corner, Nala snapped. She screamed not with words, but with years of swallowed pain. "I will not be disrespected anymore," she roared, tears running down her face. "What do they have that I don't? Why do you humiliate me?" Obade turned slowly, his face twisted. Then, with a voice like thunder, he shouted, "How dare you raise your voice at me?" Nala fell silent. "If you ever speak to me like that again," he growled, "I will send you back to that hole of a village I took you from. Do you understand?" He stepped closer. "Don't forget who made you. I gave you my name, my home, a good life. Have you looked at yourself lately? From a girl washing pots in Agodi to a woman in silk. Who gave you that?" Nala stared at him, mouth open, eyes flooded. "I am a great father. I provide for you. And just because I like to enjoy women, you throw all that away?" He pointed to the door. Pack your things. Go back to Igodi. Go and cook for goats, if that's what you miss. She dropped to her knees, sobbing. Please, please. I have nowhere to go. Don't send me back. Obade turned his back, pretending to be angry. Inside, he smiled. He had flipped it again. Turned guilt into power. Made her the problem. From that day on, a new routine began. Obade would cheat. Nala would find out. He would deny, she would beg. And he would act like he forgave her. The lion had mastered manipulation. Nala, exhausted and ashamed, stopped confronting him altogether. She knew the outcome. She would always be the one saying sorry. Nala stopped speaking. She became even quieter than before marriage. The spark in her eyes dimmed. She moved like a ghost between the kitchen, nursery, and her corner of the bed. Inside, she was dying. But she couldn't go back to Igodi. In Igodi, divorced women were whispered about in the market. Children pointed. Mothers used them as warnings. She would rather stay and suffer than return with shame wrapped around her like a second skin. So she prayed and fasted and cried. But the gods were silent. One morning, Obade came out of the shower to find his briefcase packed neatly. Inside it, a tie, a pen, and 3 condoms. What is this? He asked. Nala stood by the door with a smile. For your safety, my husband, she said sweetly. And mine, he frowned. She kissed his cheek. Have a great day. Every morning after that, it became routine. Shirt, tie, condoms, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. Depends on how many women you'll meet today, she would joke with a giggle. Obade was confused. This was not sarcasm, this was not anger, this was surrender. At first, when Nala started smiling, Obade didn't know what to make of it. This was the same woman who once knelt before him, begging him to stop. The same woman who cried silently into her pillow every time he came home with another woman's scent on his chest. The same woman who fasted and prayed, hoping the man she loved would turn away from the fire before it consumed them both. And yet, now she smiled, every morning, every night. Every time he returned smelling of cheap perfume and lies, she welcomed him like the prodigal husband. Welcome, my king, she would say. Did your queens treat you well today? Then, she would hand him a fresh towel, warm water, and condoms. Sometimes 3, sometimes 5. I wasn't sure how many you needed, she joked gently. I hope this was enough. Obade, at first, stood stunned. A lion caught off guard. But slowly, he relaxed into the rhythm of her new self. She no longer cried. She no longer asked questions. She no longer cared, at least not outwardly. And in that strange peace, Obade felt powerful. Nala took her role to the next level. She cooked even more deliciously than before pepper fish. So rich it made the guards outside inhale deeply. She served his favorite yam pottage, spiced suya, and palm wine chilled just right. She even massaged his shoulders as he ate, sometimes humming old village lullabies that made his skin crawl with comfort. She asked how his side women were. Did they stress you today, love? She'd ask, were they satisfied? Obade would only chuckle nervously, unsure how to answer. She'd smile again, that soft, careful, measured smile. Obade began to boast, to himself, to others, to the mirror. He had done it, tamed a village girl, broken her without a single slap. He had crushed her resistance without raising his voice. More than a few times. He bragged often to his closest friend, Baraka. They sat under a mango tree one humid afternoon, sipping palm wine and fanning themselves lazily with raffia hand fans. My friend, Obade said, a smirk curling on his lips, my wife has truly surprised me. Baraka raised a brow. How do you mean? She no longer complains about the other women, he said proudly. She even buys me protection. Every day. She smiles, massages my back, Prepares me for war like I'm a warrior going off to conquer kingdoms. Baraka frowned. Nala? Obade nodded eagerly. See, this is why I wanted a real wife. A traditional woman who sees marriage as sacred. Not like these city girls who scream divorce at every disagreement. Baraka remained quiet, watching. The light glint off his friend's cup. You know what else? Obade continued. I kept her submissive. That's the key. If I had ever apologized for cheating, she would have had the upper hand by now. But I flipped it every single time. Made her think she was the problem, he chuckled. She's accepted her fate. She knows this is her life now. I'm enjoying the best of both worlds, peace at home and fun outside. Baraka didn't smile. Instead, he leaned forward. My brother, he said slowly. Be careful, Obade scoffed. Careful? Of what? Of her silence. Baraka placed his cup down. It's better when a woman is shouting, crying, slamming pots. It means she still feels something. When she goes quiet, truly quiet, she's either planning her escape or your funeral. Obade laughed loudly. Escape, Nala? She won't even go back to Igodi for a wedding, let alone divorce. She told me herself her grandfather chased out her grandmother. Her father chased out her mother. She believes there's a generational curse, and she wants to break it. Baraka's eyes narrowed. So she will stay, no matter what you do. Obade nodded proudly. Even if I beat her. Even if I bring women into our bed. She has made it her life's mission to succeed where her mother failed. Baraka leaned back, the breeze rustling through the tree above. My friend, he said. Quietly, that is not a woman you should underestimate. Baraka had warned him. He had said it clearly, seated under the shade of a palm tree, nursing warm palm wine between his fingers. The ones who stop shouting are the ones to fear. But Obade laughed that warning away. He was too drunk on his own power, too proud of what he thought was submission. What he didn't see, what he never could, was that while he was laughing, Nala was planning. Obade continued his reckless ways, woman after woman, night after night. And Nala, as always, packed his condoms in silk pouches and sent him off with a kiss on the forehead. Everyone praised her. She's a rare kind of wife, the patient kind, the praying kind. But no one noticed that her eyes had changed. The light in them wasn't soft anymore. It was still. Like death. 2 years. That's how long she poisoned him. Never too much. Never enough to draw suspicion. Just a pinch of powder, expertly measured, slipped into his tea, soup, or wine. It weakened him slowly. First his memory. Then his strength. Then his breath. Obade grew dizzy often. He couldn't focus during meetings. He collapsed at a party once. Doctors ran endless tests. Nothing made sense. There's no known disease, they said. His body is just shutting down. Nala gasped, clutched her chest and cried. I will care for him till his last breath, she promised. And she meant it. Nala nursed him like a saint. She bathed him. Prayed for him. Slept beside him even when he wet the bed. Fed him fresh ogbono soup and juice herself, still with that soft, sweet smile. When friends visited, she was the one updating them on his condition. He will get better, she said, always with tears in her eyes. Inside she knew he never would. One night, Obade looked at her with hollow eyes, voice shaking like old leaves. You're the only one who stayed. He began to cry. I'm so sorry. I chased everything in skirts. But now, only you are here. Nala held his hand. Eyes gleaming. It's okay. I forgive you. She kissed his cheek. The next morning he was gone. Kinta mourned loudly. Nala mourned louder. She collapsed on his coffin. She screamed into the wind. She refused to eat for 3 days. She truly loved him, they said. She's a widow. With heart, others whispered. But only Nala knew that her tears weren't for him. They were for the girl she used to be. The one who cried in silence, the one he humiliated, the one he thought would never survive without him. Barely 2 months later, the wind changed. Nala stepped out in glowing gold lace, high heels, and dark sunglasses. No more black mourning cloth, no sobbing, no sitting still. She took control of every business asset her husband left behind. She fired his lazy relatives. She restructured his companies. She moved money into private accounts. In a year, she was richer than Obade had ever been, and she was happy. Nala flew first class, visited Mauritius, Ghana, Zanzibar. She dated models, musicians, and younger men who called her Madam Boss. She showered them with gifts, just like Obade used to do. She posted it all on social media. New life, new rules. Obade's old friends watched in horror. One of them, Baraka, shook his head. He didn't listen, I told him. The silent ones are the most dangerous. His friend Abu nodded. Her husband's body isn't even fully cold. And look at her jumping from bed to bed. They both sat in silence for a while. Then Shadera said what they were both thinking. She killed him. I know she did. There was no police case. No toxicology report. No bruises. No fight. Obade had simply weakened and died. Everyone blamed stress. Everyone, except the two who sat by and watched her change. But suspicion without proof is like smoke with no fire. So Nala continued to live. In the stillness of her private home, far from whispers and wagging tongues, Nala lit incense one night and stared into a mirror. What her late husband never knew was this: she never wanted to kill him. She wanted peace. She wanted to be loved, respected, honored, but he had made her feel disposable, worthless, powerless. She remembered every time he threatened to send her back to the village. Every time he reminded her she was nothing without him. So she decided, if I can't leave, without shame, he must go, not out of rage, but out of strategy. She didn't want the stigma of divorce. She didn't want to walk away. She wanted to stay and win. In her culture, divorced women were mocked, but widows? Widows were pitied, respected, left alone. Nala understood that too well. She chose widowhood because it gave her power. And, in the end, she wore that power like a crown. She vowed never to remarry. She raised her twin daughters like warriors. She told them, never be afraid to walk away from what wounds you. But if they corner you, you make sure you walk out with fire behind you. And every year, on the anniversary of Obade's death, she posted one picture, a wine glass. And the caption, "Rest well, my king. The throne fits me now." In the villages of Obunji, old women still tell this story under the moonlight. They say, when a woman stops fighting, don't assume she's lost. Sometimes she's just sharpening her blade. And men are warned, do not plant fear in the heart of a woman and expect love to grow. Because in the end, silence is not always surrender. Sometimes it's a trap with a beautiful face and a deadly recipe. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our storytelling family for more powerful African tales.